Hello, welcome to the sideboard here at the StarCityGames.com Standard Open in Atlanta for the SCG Tour Spotlight. I'm Nick Miller alongside our top 8 competitor, Todd Stevens. How you doing?
Very good, Nick. How are you?
I would say you're doing pretty good. You're in the top 8 here. Your third one of the year. So
Correct.
the ranking next to your name on the leaderboard is going to continue to go up.
Hopefully people aren't passing me from the classics, but so far so good.
You chose to play a deck that had a lot of success last week at the Grand Prix, this Bant Humans deck. Why did you play this deck this weekend?
So I tried playing a ramp deck at first because I haven't played Standard in a while, and so I tried this week to try to play a ramp deck, but I just kept on losing to Bant Humans online, and so I was like, you know what, I'm going to look this deck up and I'm going to try this out. I love Collected Company. Let's try this out.
Yeah, you have a bunch of top 8s with Naya Company in Modern, so it's right up your alley to be playing Collected Company, of course.
My favorite card.
And it's interesting because we saw at the beginning of Standard, the Bant Company deck that won the Open in the hands of Jim Davis, and everyone played that deck at the Invitational, but now we have this Humans iteration of the deck where you don't have things like Bounding Crassus and all the other odd creatures floating around there, but you just have this powerful human shell that really comes together. What makes this deck tick?
So the other Bant Company deck you'd have, Sylvan Advocate, Bounding Crassus, just a bunch of kind of odd and end good cards. But now this deck is basically the same thing, but with tons of synergy. The real key to this deck is Thalia's Lieutenant, which will put a 1/1 counter on all of your humans whenever it enters the battlefield. And with all of your creatures, besides Eldrazi Displacer being human, you can get a very large army very fast and really pressure your opponents.
Okay. Now, when you're talking about this deck, you're touting Lambhold Pacifist, dubbing it the new Anafenza.
It really is the new Anafenza. Even better, only costs 2 mana. It may look like just an innocent 3/3, but it's really easy to make it a 4/4 between Thalia's Lieutenant and Dromoka's Command, or just not playing a spell. And you can be attacking for 4 already on turn 3, and so many decks cannot stop that.
Right, we saw that back when Anafenza was just so powerful on the 3rd turn.
Yeah.
Now you can have it a turn earlier with a little help from all these other cards you want to be playing anyway.
Right, and with Dromoka's Command, you're probably killing their creature anyway, and now you have an Anafenza attacking, and it's just, it just puts you so far ahead.
Yeah. And you mentioned even if, you don't get it bigger and it flips, you got all these instant speed tricks, all these things you can do that you can wait anyway to kind of force the issue.
Yeah, it's okay to take a turn off if you're going to be either cracking clues or have Ojtai's Command or Collected Company on their turn.
Yeah, all great, powerful spells you can play at instant speed. Of course, we have all the other cards we saw. Duskwatch Recruiter, which just kind of popped out of nowhere, immediately identified as the strongest card, it seemed like, out of these decks from Jim's original list. You have it here along with Thraben Inspector for just a ton of value. Thalia's Lieutenant, and then of course Reflector Mage, just probably one of the most powerful creatures outside of Avacyn in the format.
Yep, and especially paired with Displacer, you can just completely own combat.
Right, so this is the card that's really shining. Eldrazi Displacer just showing up everywhere. Every deck wants to have some sort of utility with this card. You not only have Reflector Mage, but even some other things going on in this deck that you can really gain some advantage from.
Yeah, and even with Thalia's Lieutenant, if you just, sometimes you just have to blink some of your humans to put counters on your Thalia's Lieutenants, or blink your Thalia's Lieutenant to put more counters on the rest of your creatures. So there's just so much you can do with Displacer.
Okay, so going into this week, green-white tokens was like the deck to beat. How's the matchup with this deck?
Well, I actually, I only lost 1 time to green-white tokens. I think I beat it 4 or 5 times. And the best way to beat it is to just have early pressure, especially Pacifist on turn 2 is key, and early pressure, and then after sideboard have the negates to counter their big threats.
Awesome, all right. Speaking of the sideboard, we'll move on to that. Card that sticks out. Now, you were talking about this all on Facebook and Twitter, hashtag Grathmole. One of in the sideboard, you said you literally never played it.
Yeah, I never actually boarded it in. I didn't play against any aggressive decks, so I never really played against a deck that was more aggressive than mine. But basically just right before submitting the deck, I was kind of scared of, I knew my deck was going to be very aggressive, but I was kind of scared of the decks that were even lower to the ground. So I want something to gain some life. And so I just thought of Grathmole because I've played some sealeds and it's great there. And so I could make a lot of clues with Tireless Tracker. And so I thought, why not bring in a Grathmole?
Yeah, why not? Of course, you got Avacyn, you have Linvala and Gideon, kind of bigger threats to bring in against what, control decks and things?
Yeah, Gideon will come in against any deck with Languish. If they have Languish, then that's where Gideon comes in. Linvala can do double duty against aggressive decks to gain life. Linvala's great with Displacer, where you can just gain life over and over again, but it's also against green-white tokens. I was bringing in Linvala there against them because they just can't deal with that flyer. Same with Archangel Avacyn. So I was actually transforming against green-white tokens and bringing in both Angels against them.
Other cards, Declaration of Stone, you just got to be able to kill some things.
Yep.
Negate here, you mentioned it against green-white tokens. I imagine it's pretty good against white-black control and things like that too.
Right, yeah, any control deck. Negate's just the best counter spell. I have 3, and I definitely do not recommend playing less than 3. 4 is even fine. Like, I would probably play 4 in a heartbeat, yeah.
All right. You got some other ones. You got Dim Protector's just always good, a value card. And then Profaner of the Dead here. This seems like a spicy one.
Yeah, Profaner of the Dead is really my way to beat Cryptolithrite decks, especially the green-black ones that have Zulaport Cutthroats. It's really hard to attack through them. I don't have anybody that tramples, so I need to just sometimes just wait and clear their whole board. With you can make Tireless Tracker real big, or just some of your humans without his Lieutenant, and so you can make them big enough that you can play a Profaner, exploit it, and get in for lethal in one turn.
Okay, well, as part of the SCG Tour Spotlight, we're going to have a rider take your deck through a league. Any advice for them picking this deck up?
Basically, just be aggressive as possible.
All right, you heard it here. Well, Todd, you're in the top 8. We wish you the best of luck. For everyone at home, enjoy the video and enjoy the series.